arma virumque can. These words begin one of the most epic tales in ancient history. The Aeneid, as dictated by Virgil, is the story of a man who survived a conflict of metaphorical proportions, a battle between a city and a nation, a siege that lasted for over 10 years. This, of course, is the Trojan War. The pious Aeneas, the son of the goddess Venus, had a destiny. It had been foretold that he would be the founder of the legendary empire of Rome. He embraced this destiny upon his escape from the horrors he faced during the war. This is Professor Chisholm, our historical expert. What can you tell us about these fates?
Well, throughout the Aeneid, Aeneas continues to persevere despite Juno's attempt to throw him off course because the fates were in his favor. The fates were a Greek explanation for man's destiny being controlled by forces beyond even the power of the gods. The three fates include Lachesis, who allots each his portion of life, Clothio, who spins the thread of life, and Atropos, who severs the thread at the appointed time.
So why was Juno so mad at Aeneas? Well, Virgil has given us some clues to that in the first book. Eudicium peridis spretaque iuria formae, et ginos inviso, et rapiti Ganymede honores. What does this mean? Well, Eudicium peridis, the judgment of Paris, et rapti Ganymedes honores, the honors of snatched Ganymedes.
I am the most beautiful.
This is Professor Carroll, our expert on epic poetry. What can you tell us about the description of Juno's wrath towards the Trojans?
Well, by mentioning three specific things, the hated race of the Trojans, the judgment of Paris, and the honor of snatched Ganymedes, Virgil uses an ascending tricolon to highlight Juno's anger, giving her reason to finally crack down on the Trojans.
Juno was very persistent in her attempts to stop Aeneas from founding Rome, even going so far as to use the loyalty of King Aeolus, keeper of the winds, to create a storm to overturn the Trojan fleet. Professor Dyke here is going to tell us what the significance of the scene is, what it means.
This scene is significant because it illustrates that Aeolus acts based on his feelings of duty to Juno because Jupiter made him ruler over the storm clouds and gave him a seat at the table of the gods.
Tired of walking the streets like a pleb? Ride around in style in a new chariot. During our annual Saturnalia sale, we have the best prices in the Empire. The Apollo Calarimus features the state-of-the-art axles and iron-rimmed wheels, guaranteeing the smoothest ride on the mean streets of the city. Vanquish your enemies with these battle-hardened spikes on the side of your wheels. Bring your horses in for a test drive. Buy yours now before the sale ends. 4 horses not included.
Aeneas' journey eventually brought him to the town of Carthage, where he retold his tale to the queen there, Dido. Canticuere omnes intenteque ora tenebant, ende toro pater Aeneas sic ursus ab alto.
Queen, you order me to speak of unspeakable grief by telling how the Greeks overthrew the Trojans and the miserable things I have seen and was a part of? Such things would even make the Myrmidons or Dolopins or the hard soldiers of Ulysses cry. Now night falls and the stars urge sleep. If there is such love to hear of our misfortunes and the final agony of Troy, although I shudder to remember Ipea.
What's called the Trojan horse. It was actually built by the Greeks in order to trick the Trojans. It was a giant wooden horse with a hollow inside that would contain Greek soldiers. When the Trojans found this massive horse outside their walls, with no one around and the Greek ships all gone, they decided that it must be a gift to the gods and that they should bring it into their walls. And so they did, but there was debate about what they should do with it.
We should bring it into the city.
No, we should at least throw it into the sea or burn it or jab it with some really long sticks.
You guys are insane. Odysseus and the Greeks aren't idiots. I fear Greeks even bearing gifts.
Because he was suspicious of the horse, Laocoon was considered a problem by Juno. So she sent 2 massive serpents to destroy his sons and then him.
Ecce autem Gemini a tenedo tranquilla per alta, immensus orbibus angues, incumbunt pelago periterque ad litora tendunt.
First the snake embraced both the small bodies of the 2 sons and devoured the miserable limbs with a bite.
With his father, his son, and his wife, Aeneas fled stealthily through the city streets in order to escape the Greeks who were razing the city to the ground.
If there's any hope that you'll live, you need to stay and defend your family and house.
Okay, I'll stay and protect my household. I'll take my father and my son. You follow from behind.
Aeneas received 2 omens. The first was a flame that appeared above the head of his son, Ulysses. The second was a comet that streaked across the sky in the direction of a nearby mountain called Mount Ida. It was this mountain that Aeneas would travel to after meeting up with his fellow Trojans at the Temple of Ceres. So, with his son at his side, his father clinging to his back, and his wife nowhere to be found, Aeneas flees the only home he has ever known, with an uncertain future ahead of him, with only an omen, seemingly sent by the gods themselves to guide him. He mourns the loss of the city and the countless dead Trojans, but he knows he must look forward, for his journey is only about to begin.